My name is Beatrice Collins. I'm 33 years old, and 3 months ago, I ended a relationship in my own living room without raising my voice once. Not because of a fight, not because of betrayal in the way people expect, but because of one sentence. My female best friend is coming over, so you can take the couch. In my own house. That was the moment everything became simple. I work as a regional operations manager for a logistics company in Columbus. My life runs on structure. I leave the house at 7:15 every morning. I'm back by 5:30 most nights. Bills are handled before they become problems. Systems are in place so nothing spirals. The house is mine. I bought it 4 years ago, after a promotion, before I ever met him. 3 bedrooms, quiet neighborhood. Nothing flashy, but solid. Mortgage in my name. Utilities drafted from my account. That matters. My boyfriend, Liam Carter, is 29. We had been together just over 2 years. He moved into my place about 8 months ago, after his lease ended. We split groceries, smaller shared expenses. But the house was always mine. Up until recently, things were manageable. Liam is confident, charismatic, the kind of man who can walk into a room and shift the energy without trying too hard. At first, I liked that. Later, I realized it came with something else. A tendency to assume, to decide, to speak as if things were already agreed upon. I noticed it in small ways first. Restaurants chosen without asking. Plans made and then presented as facts. Subtle corrections in conversations that weren't really corrections, just positioning. I address things early, calmly. I don't let resentment build. Or at least, I didn't think I did. Last Friday, around 4:30 in the afternoon, Liam called me while I was wrapping up a vendor call. He didn't ask how my day was. He didn't ease into anything. He said his female best friend, Vanessa, was coming over that night, casually, like he was reminding me to pick up milk. Then he added that she needed to stay a few days. She'd had a falling out with her roommate. I asked a simple question. Where exactly is Vanessa sleeping? There was a pause. Then he said, like it was obvious, in our bed. I waited, because there's always a moment when you expect the punchline. There wasn't one. When I pointed out that it was my bed in my house, he laughed. Actually laughed. Said I was being territorial. And then he said it. My female best friend is coming over, so you can take the couch. Not can you. Not would you mind. Not even let's figure something out. Just, you can take the couch. In my own house. Something shifted quietly. From flexible to firm. I didn't raise my voice. Didn't argue over the phone. I told him we would talk when I got home. When I walked in, Liam was in the kitchen, acting like he had done me a favor by giving me notice. He told me I needed to relax. That Vanessa was like a sister to him, that I was making it weird. I asked him one question. If the situation were reversed, if a man I called my best friend showed up needing a place to stay, would you be fine taking the couch while he slept in our bed with me? He didn't hesitate. That's different. No explanation. Just different. Like it was a rule I was supposed to understand without question. I asked him how. He rolled his eyes, said because Vanessa is a woman and women don't take things the wrong way. Then he looked at me, really looked at me, and added that I was the only one making it uncomfortable. That was the moment I understood something. This wasn't about comfort. It wasn't about logistics. It was about assumption, about him deciding and expecting me to follow. I told him calmly that I wasn't making anything weird. I was setting a boundary. Guests don't displace the homeowner, especially not into the living room like I'm a temporary guest in my own life. He got sharper after that, faster, said I was controlling, said it was embarrassing that I needed to assert ownership, that I should stop acting like everything was mine. That part almost made me smile, because it wasn't an attitude. It was a fact. I reminded him, still calm, that he moved in 8 months ago, that we had never discussed long-term house guests, and that I wasn't sacrificing my sleep, my routine, or my space because his friend couldn't manage hers. He sighed, like I was delaying his evening. Then he tried to soften it, frame it like a compromise. Vanessa can take the bed just for tonight. You can use the guest room. Tomorrow we'll figure it out. The guest room isn't a bedroom. It's a treadmill, a desk, and storage boxes. He knows that. I said no. Clear, simple. Vanessa is not sleeping in my bed. If she needs somewhere to stay, she can take the couch. If that doesn't work, there are hotels or other friends. I kept it direct. No room to twist. He crossed his arms, smirked. Wow, so this is who you are. Vanessa was already on her way, he said. And he wasn't going to make himself look bad. That's when it clicked. This wasn't about helping a friend. This was about image and seeing if I would fold. I didn't. A few minutes later, the doorbell rang. Like this was just a normal Friday night. Liam gave me a look, a quiet warning. Don't embarrass me. Then he moved toward the door, and I stood there in my own house, already knowing This wasn't going to end the way he expected. Vanessa walked in like she had been there before. Not hesitant, not cautious. Comfortable. Late 20s. Polished in that effortless way that isn't actually effortless. Soft makeup, fitted jacket, the kind of confidence that assumes space will be made for her. Liam stepped forward immediately, pulled her into a hug that lasted just a little too long. She held on just as tight. Then she leaned back, smiled, and said, "You remember Beatrice, right?" I hadn't forgotten my own name. Vanessa turned to me, extended her hand with a relaxed smile. "Thanks for letting me crash for a few days. I really appreciate it." I shook her hand once. "I haven't agreed to that yet." The shift was immediate, subtle but sharp. Liam laughed like I had made a joke. Vanessa didn't laugh. She just tilted her head slightly, recalibrating. I didn't give either of them time to smooth it over. I told her directly, calmly, that she was welcome to stay on the couch for the night if she needed time to figure things out. The couch, not the bedroom. Liam stepped in before she could respond. "Vanessa's not taking the couch," he said, like we had already discussed this. "She has back issues." Vanessa nodded lightly, like she was confirming medical documentation. "Yeah, my back's been acting up lately," she added. I looked at her. "Then a hotel might be a better option. Proper mattress." Liam's tone snapped tighter. "She said she can't afford that right now." I shifted my attention back to Vanessa. "How long are you planning to stay?" There was a pause. "Not long, but long enough." "A few days," she said. "Maybe a week." "A week?" That was new. Liam jumped in quickly. "It won't be that long. Don't make it a big deal." I kept my voice even. It becomes a big deal when someone moves into my house without a conversation. Vanessa's expression didn't change much, but the ease in her posture shifted slightly. Liam stepped closer to me, lowering his voice just enough to feel private, but not enough that she couldn't hear. "You're being difficult." I didn't respond to that. He continued. "It's just a bed, B. You're turning this into something it doesn't need to be." I met his eyes. "No, it's a boundary." Vanessa exhaled softly, like she was already tired of the inconvenience. Not embarrassed, not apologetic, just inconvenienced. Liam turned to her quickly. "Don't worry about this," he said. "She's just stressed from work." That was it. That small dismissal. That reframing of me, right in front of someone else. Like my perspective wasn't valid, just emotional spillover. I felt it then. Not anger. Clarity. I looked at Vanessa. "If you need somewhere to stay tonight, the couch is available. Tomorrow you'll need to make other arrangements." Direct. Simple. Liam's expression changed, from confident to irritated. "Beatrice," he said, sharper now, "you're being unreasonable." I didn't raise my voice. "I'm being consistent." Vanessa glanced between us. Then she shifted her weight, crossing one arm loosely over her body. "Honestly," she said, tone light but edged, "I don't want to be where I'm not welcome." I nodded once. "That's fair." Liam turned to her quickly. "You are welcome," he said. Then back to me. "You're the only one making this weird." I didn't react. Didn't defend. Didn't explain. Because this wasn't confusion. It was alignment. The two of them on one side. Me on the other. And suddenly the room felt smaller. Like the outcome had already been decided, just not by me. Liam stepped closer again. Lower voice. Tighter. "If you can't support me on something this simple, what does that say about us?" I held his gaze. "It says I don't give up my place in my own home to prove I'm supportive." Vanessa let out a small breath, almost a laugh, but not quite. Liam caught it. His jaw tightened. Then he said it. "If you're going to act like this, maybe you should just leave for the night." Silence. Clean. Still. In my own house. I didn't look at Vanessa. Didn't look away from him. I just let the moment settle. Because that sentence, that was the line. Not crossed. Erased. I realized something then. This wasn't about a couch. Or a bed. Or even Vanessa. This was a test. A quiet, controlled push to see if I would step aside. Publicly. And once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it. Liam watched me, waiting, expecting the same outcome as every smaller moment before this. Me choosing peace. Me choosing patience. Me choosing to let it go. Vanessa stood near the entryway now, her bag still by her feet. Observing. Not intervening. Just waiting to see which version of me would show up. The one who bends. Or the one who doesn't. Liam crossed his arms. "If you can't handle my friendships," he said, "maybe you should rethink this relationship." That was the cleanest opening he could have given me. I nodded once. "I already have." That landed harder than anything else I'd said. His expression flickered. Just for a second. Confusion. Then irritation. "What does that mean?" I didn't rush. Didn't raise my voice. "This isn't about your friendships," I said. "It's about you deciding where I sleep in my own house and expecting me to accept it." Vanessa shifted slightly. Liam scoffed. "You're being dramatic." I walked past both of them. Not fast. Not slow. Just deliberate. To the front door. And I opened it. The air from outside moved through the hallway, cool and steady. You both need to leave. Vanessa didn't argue, didn't hesitate. She picked up her bag immediately. That told me everything I needed to know. She understood the line. Even if he didn't. Liam didn't move. You can't be serious. I turned back to him. I am. You're ending this over a bed? No, I said. Calm, steady. I'm ending this because you told me to take the couch in my own house and expected me to agree. Vanessa stepped outside quietly. No commentary, no defense, just distance. Liam stood there a second longer, like he was waiting for me to soften, to adjust, to backtrack. I didn't. You're really doing this, he said. Yes. No anger, no hesitation. Just yes. And for the first time since this started, he didn't have a response. He stood there for a second longer than necessary, not because he had something to say, because he didn't. That was the difference. Up until that moment, and Liam had always had the last word, the smoother angle, the better framing. Now, there was nothing left to reframe. You're serious, he said again, quieter this time. I am. No shift in tone, no softening, just clarity. His eyes flicked toward the door, where Vanessa was already outside, standing near the walkway with her bag in hand. She wasn't looking back in. She wasn't waiting for him. That told me something else. This wasn't loyalty. This was convenience. Liam exhaled sharply, running a hand through his hair like he was trying to reset the scene. Beatrice, this is insane, he said. You're blowing this completely out of proportion. I didn't argue, didn't interrupt. I just let him finish, because I'd already made the decision. This is what you do, he continued, voice tightening. You take something small and turn it into this whole control thing. That word again, control. Projected outward, never inward. I stepped aside from the doorway slightly, giving him a clear path out. This isn't a discussion, I said. It's a decision. That landed, harder than anything else. He stared at me like he was waiting for the version of me he was used to, the one who explained, justified, softened edges. I didn't give him that. You're really choosing this? He asked. I'm choosing myself. That was the part he didn't expect. Not anger, not punishment, just withdrawal. Clean, final. His jaw tightened. You're going to regret this when you calm down. I am calm. And that seemed to frustrate him more than anything else I'd said. Because anger, he could work with. Calm, he couldn't move. He glanced toward the door again. Vanessa shifted slightly outside, checking her phone now. Detached. Already removed from the situation. Liam grabbed his jacket from the back of the chair, slower this time. Deliberate, like he was trying to stretch the moment. Waiting, still, for me to say something that would pull him back in. I didn't. You don't just throw away 2 years like this, he said. I met his eyes. I didn't, you did. That stopped him. Not because it was loud, because it was accurate. He didn't respond to that. Just looked at me, really looked this time. Like he was trying to find something. A crack. A hesitation. There wasn't one. After a few seconds, he walked past me. No more words. No dramatic exit. Just movement. He stepped outside. Vanessa glanced at him briefly, then turned toward the driveway. They didn't speak to each other. Not that I could hear. I closed the door, locked it, and just stood there for a moment. Not overwhelmed. Not shaking. Just still. The house felt different immediately. Quieter. Clearer. Like something had been removed that I hadn't realized was weighing on the space. Then I moved. Not emotionally. Practically. I walked to the hallway panel and removed his access code. Went into the security app, deleted his profile. Disconnected his phone from the garage system. Step by step. Not dramatic. Preventative. By the time I finished, my phone buzzed. A message. From him. You're overreacting. I looked at it. No emotional spike. Just confirmation. I didn't respond. Another message came a few minutes later. I can't believe you do this over something so small. Then another. You embarrassed me in front of her. That one stood out. Not we should talk. Not I crossed a line. Just embarrassment. Image. Again. I placed my phone face down on the kitchen counter. Let the silence settle. For the first time in 8 months. There was no underlying tension in the room. No quiet anticipation of the next adjustment. No subtle pressure to accommodate something unspoken. Just space. I went to the bedroom. Opened the closet. The right side, his side, was still full. Shirts lined neatly. Shoes placed exactly where I had asked him to keep them. For a second, I just looked at it. Not with sadness. With recognition. This wasn't sudden. This was cumulative. Every small moment I had adjusted to. Every time I chose not to push back. Until there was nothing left to adjust but myself. And that wasn't happening. I grabbed a set of boxes from the garage. Not aggressively. Carefully. Folded his clothes. Separated work from casual. placed everything with the same order I would have expected if the situation were reversed. Because this wasn't about punishment. It was about closure. Clean. Intentional. By the time I finished, it was late. The house was quiet. Still, I set the boxes by the garage wall, turned off the lights, and went back to the bedroom. My bed. Untouched. Exactly where I left it. I lay down. No negotiation. No compromise. No internal debate. Just rest. And for the first time in months, I slept without interruption. I woke up at 6:10 the next morning out of habit. For a few seconds, everything felt normal. Then I turned slightly, and the space beside me stayed empty. No movement. No tension. No presence that required adjustment. Just stillness. Clean. I sat up slowly, letting the awareness settle instead of rushing past it. This was real. Final. My phone was on the nightstand. 9 notifications. All from Liam. I opened them. Not because I needed answers, but because I wanted confirmation. The first message, "You're blowing this up." The second, "I can't believe you do this to me." Then, "Vanessa thinks you were threatened." I paused at that one, not because it bothered me, because it clarified something. Even now, it was being reframed, rewritten, positioned as my insecurity. Not his decision, not his assumption, mine. The next message, "Are you seriously choosing your ego over me?" Then later, "Can we just talk?" And finally, at 2:07 a.m., "I love you. Don't do something you can't undo." I read all of them once. No reaction. No pull. Because not one of them said the only thing that mattered. Not one said, "I shouldn't have told you to take the couch." Not one said, "I crossed a line." I set the phone down, walked into the kitchen, made coffee, sat at the table, and opened my settings. I didn't write a long response. Didn't explain. Didn't defend. I blocked his number. Then I blocked him everywhere else. Instagram. Facebook, even LinkedIn. Not out of anger, out of clarity. If something ends, it ends clean. About 20 minutes later, my phone rang. Unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. Then I listened. His voice, less confident now, less composed. "Blocking me is immature, B. We're adults. We talk things through. You owe me that after 2 years. I deleted the voicemail. Blocked that number too. At 9:15 a.m., the locksmith arrived. I had the locks rekeyed. Front door. Back door. Garage remote replaced. Again, nothing dramatic. Just final. Around noon, there was a knock. I didn't open the door. I checked the camera first. Liam, alone. He looked different. Not put together. Not controlled. Tired. I didn't go to the door. I used the intercom. "If you're here for your things, come back tomorrow between 10 and noon. I'll have everything in the garage." He stared at the camera. "You're really going to hide behind a screen?" "No," I said. "I'm enforcing a boundary." He stood there for another minute, like waiting would change something. It didn't. Eventually, he left. That was when it felt real. Not the breakup. Not the blocking. This. The fact that he showed up expecting access and didn't get it. Saturday morning, I finished packing everything. Carefully. Folded. Organized. No damage. No emotion poured into the process. Just completion. At 10:40, a message came through from another unknown number. "I'm outside." I checked the camera. He was there. This time, Vanessa was in the passenger seat. That detail didn't surprise me. I opened the garage door, not the front door. His boxes were stacked neatly along the wall. I stepped just inside the threshold. Enough to speak, not enough to invite. "Everything that's yours is here," I said. "If I missed anything, send a list. I'll arrange pickup through a third party." He looked at the boxes, then at me. "You packed everything?" Yes. There was something in his expression then. Not gratitude, not relief, almost offense. Like I had removed the chaos he expected. Vanessa stayed in the car, watching, observing, detached. Liam stepped closer. "You're really ending this over something that's stupid." I met his eyes. "No, I ended it because you showed me exactly how you see me." He exhaled sharply. "I was stressed. Vanessa needed help. You could have just supported me for one night." "Support doesn't look like displacement," I said. "Support doesn't look like being dismissed in my own house. If you had asked, we would have discussed it. You told me what I was going to do." His jaw tightened. "So now you're perfect?" "No," I said calmly. "I just know what I don't accept." That landed differently, because there was nothing to argue with. Vanessa finally opened the car door, stepped out, walked over without a word, picked up 2 boxes. No eye contact, no commentary, just function. That told me everything. She wasn't here for him. She was here for logistics. Liam lingered. "You're going to regret this when you calm down." I am calm. Again, that frustrated him more than anger would have. He picked up the last box, paused. "You blocked me." "Yes." "That's childish." "No," I said, "it's final." He stood there a second longer, waiting, still, for something, Anything. There was nothing left to give. After a few seconds, he turned, walked back to the car. Vanessa had already placed the boxes in the trunk. They didn't speak. Not to each other. Not to me. They drove off. I closed the garage door slowly. The sound echoed differently. Not empty. Clear. That afternoon, I changed the Wi-Fi password, removed him from shared accounts, updated my emergency contact at work. Not symbolic. Administrative. By that night, I expected silence. I got it. For about 12 hours. The next evening, the doorbell rang again. I checked the camera. A woman stood there. Mid-30s. Similar features. His sister. I didn't open the door. Intercom. Can I help you? She sighed. He's not doing well. I didn't respond. She shifted. He says you embarrassed him. That you overreacted. That you made Vanessa feel unwelcome. I did, I said. She was unwelcome. That paused her. She adjusted her tone. Softer. He thought you'd just give him the bed. Because you love him. That sentence clarified everything. I leaned lightly against the wall. Love isn't compliance. She blinked. Didn't expect that. He says couples work through things. They don't just end it. Couples work through disagreements, I said. Not unilateral disrespect. She hesitated. Then tried one more angle. He says Vanessa is just a friend. That you made it into something else. It was never about Vanessa, I said. It was about being told where I sleep in my own house. That landed. She exhaled slowly. He thought you'd cool off. I'm not heated. Silence. Then the question. Is there any chance you'll talk to him? No. Not maybe. Not later. No. She nodded slowly. I'll tell him. She turned to leave. Then I added one thing. Please don't send people to my house again. She gave a small nod and left. I watched through the camera as she got into her car. Alone. No Vanessa this time. That told me something too. By Monday morning, everything was reset. Not emotionally, structurally. And that's what made it hold. By Tuesday afternoon, the silence broke. Not with a call. Not with a message. With an email. Subject line, please. Lowercase. Simple. I almost deleted it without opening it. Almost. But curiosity is an emotion. So I opened it. It was long, structured, careful, like he had taken the time to organize his thoughts into something that sounded reasonable. He said he'd been overwhelmed, that Vanessa had pressured him, that he felt caught between being a good boyfriend and a good friend, that he panicked when I pushed back. I read it slowly, line by line, waiting for the sentence. It didn't come. Instead, the tone shifted. He said he felt unsafe in the relationship because I ended things too quickly. Unsafe. That word stood out. Not because it was dramatic, because it was misused. He reframed my boundary as instability. My clarity as danger. Then came the line that explained everything. I didn't think you'd actually choose yourself over me. I stopped there. Didn't need the rest. That wasn't regret. That was surprise. Misjudgment. He hadn't expected resistance. He hadn't expected consequence. I closed the email. Didn't reply. Instead, I created a filter. Anything from his address, archived automatically. No notifications. No reminders. No reopening. Around 7 p.m., the doorbell rang again. I checked the camera. Him. Alone. No Vanessa. No audience. Different posture. Shoulders lower. Hands loose at his sides. I didn't open the door. He stood there for a few seconds, then spoke toward the camera. B, I know you can hear me. I didn't respond. I'm sorry. That was new. I waited. I shouldn't have told you to take the couch. I should have asked. I messed up. There it was. Finally. Direct. Clean. For a moment, the silence stretched. Not heavy. Just present. Then he added, but you didn't have to end everything over it. And just like that, it unraveled. Minimized. Again. I pressed the intercom. You're apologizing for how you said it, I told him. Not for what you believed. He frowned slightly. Confused. I continued. You thought you could override me in my own house. That didn't come from stress. That came from how you see me. His eyes shifted. Not denial. Recognition. But he didn't say it. Didn't confirm it. He just stood there. I thought you'd understand, he said quietly. I do, I replied. That's why this is over. He stayed there a little longer, maybe expecting my tone to soften. For something to reopen. It didn't. Eventually, he nodded once. Small. Subtle. Then he turned and walked away. I watched until he got into his car. Until the headlights disappeared. For a moment, there was a pull, not toward him, toward the history. 2 years isn't nothing. But then, I heard it again, clear as the first time. You can take the couch. And whatever that pull was, it disappeared. I thought that would be the last time. It wasn't. Friday night. Exactly 1 week after that sentence. I had just finished cleaning the kitchen. Music low. Routine steady again. The doorbell rang. I checked the camera. Liam and Vanessa. Together. That told me everything. This wasn't closure. This was strategy. I didn't open the door. What do you need? I asked through the intercom. Liam spoke first. We just want to talk, like adults. Vanessa stood slightly behind him, arms crossed, watching, assessing. There's nothing left to talk about, I said. Vanessa stepped forward slightly. Honestly, I think you overreacted, she said. This got blown way out of proportion. I looked directly into the camera. Did he tell you he offered you my bedroom and told me to take the couch? She hesitated, just for a second, then looked at him. He didn't answer. I was told you were uncomfortable, she said. That's not what happened. Liam cut in quickly. You're twisting it. No, I said. I'm clarifying it. Silence. Then I continued. You walked into my house thinking you had a place in my bed. That wasn't your decision to make. It wasn't his either. Vanessa's posture shifted. Less certain. Liam's tone sharpened. It was just a bed. It was authority, I said calmly. That went quiet. That landed. Vanessa looked at him again. Not me. Him. That shift was subtle. But it mattered. Liam tried one more angle. We came here to see if you'd apologize. That almost made me smile. Apologize for what? For embarrassing me, he said. For blocking me. For making me look crazy. There it was again. Image, not accountability. You weren't embarrassed, I said. You were contradicted. Vanessa didn't move. Didn't support him. Didn't interrupt. She was watching him now. Not me. He felt it. I could see it. His confidence, just slightly off. If you apologize, he said slower now, we can reset. Reset. Like nothing had been revealed. Like nothing had been learned. I stepped closer to the door. Still locked. This isn't a negotiation, I said. There's no reset. Vanessa exhaled quietly. Liam's face hardened. So that's it? Yes. No anger. No emphasis. Just truth. They stood there for a few seconds. Then Vanessa turned first. Walked away. No argument. No defense. Just exit. Liam lingered half a second longer. You're going to end up alone if you can't bend, he said. I answered evenly. I'd rather be alone than displaced. He didn't have a response. He turned. Left. And this time, I knew. It was done. It's been 3 months. No calls. No emails slipping through. No unexpected visits. He tried once more through a mutual friend 2 weeks later. She's willing to admit she pushed too far if you meet halfway. I didn't respond. Because halfway implies shared fault. There wasn't any. I didn't end a relationship over a couch. I ended it over a power test. Over being told. Not asked. Over being minimized in my own home in front of another woman. The couch was just the setting. The real issue was hierarchy. In the weeks after, I rearranged the bedroom, moved the dresser, changed the bedding. Not symbolic. Practical. Reset the space. Friends asked what happened. I told them plainly. He told me to take the couch in my own house so his female best friend could have my bed. Every single person paused at the same place. In your own house? Yes. No one argued with the outcome. The more distance I had, the clearer it became. That sentence didn't come from nowhere. It came from a pattern. Small dismissals, subtle corrections. Decisions made, then announced. I ignored them. Until I couldn't. I don't hate him. I don't think he's a bad person. I think he believes something. That I would bend. That I would prioritize peace over position. He was wrong. Last week, I ran into Vanessa at a coffee shop. By accident. She saw me. Walked over. Said, that night got blown out of proportion. I asked her one question. If someone told you to sleep on the couch in your own house so another woman could take your bed, what would you do? She didn't answer right away. Then she nodded. Once. That was enough. I left it there. The house is quiet now. Predictable again. No negotiations over where I sleep. No tests disguised as favors. Just structure. Ownership. Calm. And if I ever hear, you can take the couch again, it'll be from a guest. Not from someone who forgot whose house it is.